everybody. Now, I'm just a simple man, and my name is Noah Foster, and welcome to this special Worlds Collide edition of 205 Live Matters, where this week we will discuss the, as they announce it, Simply Competition themed episode of 205 Live, as well as our take from the NXT Superstars Showcase, and of course some simple stances regarding 205 Live and maybe some NXT and maybe more. You'll find out soon enough. But before I get into that, allow me to introduce you, of course, to the man, my co-host, one of my best friends. He is a family man. He is incredibly knowledgeable. He has incredible passion for cruiserweight wrestling then and now, and I think pretty much we will be in this together forever on this stance. He is, of course, I feel like he's going to be the freaking winner of our G1 Climax game in the Team DQ. I'm just going to say that right now. It's the holiday Chris Mace. Chris, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. It's been a good day. Did the tea party earlier, so now it's time to do 205 Live Matters tonight. So it's having a good day so far.
Absolutely. And boy, it was quite an episode. My word. So why don't we just get right into it? So this is, of course, episode number, I believe, number 142. And by the way, folks, if you haven't been on the WWE Network for a while, they took away episode numbers. I had to IMDb it because now it's all about dates, which of course I provide too. The new WWE Network, just to say real quickly, okay, couple pros, I find more cons, that's just me. Simple as that. Anyway, it was episode number 142, emanating from Miami, Florida, taking place on July 23rd, 2019. And we kick off with, of course, a flashback to events that occurred last week. Not the main event, though. It was the middle of the show, as Mike Kanellis tirade Drake Maverick into basically a match where he forced his hand after insulting his wife. Hey, you don't assault another man's wife. Simple as that. Anyway.
Amen.
Respectful. Anyway, following this, he punched him. We get right into it, and he says, I'm sorry for my actions, but there comes a time where you have to put your jobs aside and be a man. So this is what you want. As the general manager of the live, I'm going to give you what you want, Mike. You want a match? You got a match. And you get to kick my ass. And I'll tell you what, you kick my ass, you get your opportunity at the Cruiserweight Championship. But here's the thing. Before we go into this, my last act, up to this point, he says, I'm pretty sure it's not going to terminate his 205 Live general manager job. He might get, suspension or whatever. But it's going to be interesting nonetheless. He basically said, my job here, we're going to get all the aggression out of each other. Because you and I are not going to have a match next week. You and I are going to have a fight because our match is unsanctioned. Unsanctioned match on 205 Live between one of the talents and the GM 142 episodes later. Occurring next week. Wow. Well, here's what I do know. I watched Impact Wrestling where they had an empty arena, exposed turnbuckles, ring, blah, blah, apron, whatever you want to call it, type match. That broke Drake Maverick, a.k.a. Rockstar Spud's, teeth. I really do hope this match does not devolve somewhat into that. And if you ask me, I feel Maria Kanellis not to be far behind along with another person. But I'll say my thoughts more on that later. So, Chris, any thoughts on this match coming up literally next week and your stance on Drake Maverick as GM?
I'm very interested in this match. I'm really intrigued because I think we're going to end up having a disagreement about this later about what we think the outcome's going to be, but it's going to be interesting. But for his, like I said, he's doing what he has to do as a man. Like I said, he admits, like, it is my last act as general manager as of right now. He said, he's taking up for his wife, which is what you're supposed to do if you're married. You're supposed to take up for your wife. And he's doing what he's got to do as a man. So I'm really interested in this match. Like I said, the storyline's been playing out for a while now. It's time to hopefully have a culmination with this match, and let's see how it all plays itself out.
I just realized something. I'm going to get freaking jobbed out in the comment section. Hey, Noah, did you find a simple woman? Do you have a simple woman? No, I don't. I haven't looked for one. I'm focusing on college. That's enough about relationships in my life. Thank you very much. I want to get that out of the way right now because I know how the community thinks. Anyway, moving on. And we're going to talk more about that later. Stay tuned for the simple stances, folks. And we'll pose the question to you, too. I hope to really get people to interact with this episode, be interactive in comments, because I'm going to have a bunch of questions posed to you and the 205 Live Matters community as well. But anyway, let's get right into the show. So basically, yeah, we get introduced into the show, and basically we get introduced to tonight's theme, which they call Simply Competition. And shout out to Indie Queen Cindy G. I hope you're doing simply fine. I know you're going through some rough stuff right now. Take care, be strong. Hope to see you back on soon. And you as well, Chris Cass. Anyway, so we get into the theme tonight, which is literally Simply Competition. It's NXT versus 205 Live, not even Worlds Collide. But holy mackerel. 2 words to describe the opening match. Lucha Libre. And it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, take me through your thought process on this match, your moments from it, and what did you think of the NXT star showcased here, Raul Mendoza?
Wow. I was impressed with him. I had to say that. This, I had to say, is by far the best Lucha House Party match I've seen them ever have.
Wow.
That's my opinion. You can take it or leave it, but as for the seriousness of the match, it was the best damn match they've had ever on 205 Live or on the main roster. That's my opinion. These guys performed. This is the style of wrestling I like. This is that old school style that they have in WCW and ECW, even in WWE/WF for a brief time. That lucha style of wrestling. This was a fucking awesome match. And this is a great way to open up the show. This was phenomenal. And I hope to see more of him in 205 Live. It'd be very interesting to see how it plays out with him. He'd be a great addition to 205 Live.
I've been saying it for a long time. If you want to build a tag team division in 205 Live, introduce Raul Mendoza and make Raul Mendoza and Humberto Carrillo a tag team. Apologies if I don't roll my R's. And I mean, wow, what a match. Raul Mendoza, of course, these two men are not strangers to each other. Raul Mendoza, 11 years in the game. They've tagged before in NXT. This match was found first on mutual respect because it wasn't a clash of styles. They all share the same style, Lucha Libre. And it was stalemates between Raul Mendoza and Kalisto, then Humberto Carrillo and Grand Metalik, exchanging kicks, deep arm drags, Frankensteiners, hurricanranas, everybody just constantly keeping up, giving people an idea what Lucha Libre is. And the fact that, okay, I'm on your level, okay, you're on my level. It really didn't pick up, though, from there as far as competition goes until Grand Metalik took advantage of a handshake. And then we got some tandem tag team offense from both teams, starting with, of course, the wheelbarrow slam from Mendoza and Carrillo. I thought that was very innovative. And then Lucha House Party earlier, working the right arm. And then there was a unique roundhouse kick to the face. And then it just went up from there, elevated, no pun intended. I mean, Metalik with an assist elevated drop kick from Kalisto, and then his signature turnaround second rope drop kick. Crowd picked up here because for a moment I think the crowd was like analyzing, what are we watching here? Because the crowd was like in and out here. And then not a super kick party, but my word, freaking kick fest galore. Did you notice when Kalisto springboarded off the ropes, not a single portion of his body was touching the ring, and he got that much momentum? Wow. That's freaking crazy. Top row hurricanrana, corkscrew plunge later. Metalik eats feet, though, off a moonsault. I've seen this spot before, which leads to Humberto Carrillo winning with a twisted corkscrew splash team. A big win for Humberto Carrillo over Grand Metalik, a 205 Live veteran against 205 Live young gun, and a real accomplished victory for his tag partner Mendoza in his 205 Live debut, basically. A lot to take away, a lot to remember, and honestly, if we're going to elevate it from here, 2 ways I see it. You do a 6-man tag and you add Angel Gaza to the team of Humberto Mendoza, or you do a tornado tag and you change up the 2 from the Lucha House Party and do Humberto Carrillo and Raul Mendoza again. Because I want more of what I saw. That was a hell opener. Good Lord. Okay.
I could take another 2 or 3 matches out of them. I definitely could change it up a little bit since Lucha House Party's got three guys. You could change up the matches a little bit, change up the people, and go at it and do it all over again. I could sit down and watch that for a while. Like I said, I don't ever really praise Lucha House Party. I've been doing this to for a while. I don't ever really praise them, but I will give them all the praise in the world. This was by far their best match I've ever seen them have so far.
And this reminds you how good Lucha House Party are as in-ring competitors when they're not being jobbed out on Monday Night Raw to Lars Sullivan or being showcased as heels losing Lucha House Party rules against the Revival. And why the hell are they doing that, Vince? You're a fucking idiot.
But you digress.
I think to learn. Oh man, trademark that. Anyway, moving on from here, we get a tag team challenge issued by the Singh brothers, who basically challenge Akira Tozawa and D. Brian Kendrick. Saying it's gonna be lights, cameras, and bodyweight action. And for those of you who follow the YouTube clips like I do, or social media to an extent, because I turn notifications off because I do not risk spoilers. Hashtag spoiler free. I don't even scroll through my feed. I literally look at the groups themselves. Anyway, I looked it up, and of course, Akira Tozawa and D. Brian Kendrick, Akira holding the Bollywood Award still, he says we accept with a smile. Gotta see Akira Tozawa smile back. He seems to be in better spirits versus his, last chance at the Cruiserweight title. But
yeah.
And then we learn about our main event. Boy, were they hyping this up and hyping this gentleman up, and boy, did they have every reason to. Isaiah Swerve Scott, a.k.a. Shane Strickland, Swerve is confidence as he goes by now in WWE. He's 8 years in the game, former Evolve champion, and for those who don't know, he was involved in Lucha Underground as Killshot, former Trios champion. And again, if you haven't seen Hell of War match, I dare you, watch that without being squeamish and tell me if you think Shane Strickland is sane. He's not.
Nope.
Not set. And then following that, we get another recap based on what we all called a technical masterpiece between Jack Gallagher and Chad Gable from last week, who Vic Joseph even said some call that's the best match in 205 Live history. Will that be number one on either one of our lists? Only time will tell. But I digress. And Jackson out tweet said, look, every performance I appreciate, but every performance is just another chance to grow. You still have yet to see the best out of me. There is still more to come. So it looks like Jack Gallagher is in high spirits based off that respectable bout. He still wishes to achieve further potential and sees more in him. I don't know if I want to see Chad Gable versus Jack Gallagher again this soon after that, but I can't wait to see what Jack Gallagher brings more of to 205 Live. Because I feel like that was a rejuvenation for him after the whole being Drew Gulak's lackey and being on a losing streak for a while. I feel like this really showcased what Jack Gallagher is capable of and probably re-inspired him. So I'm proud of him. Why don't you go ahead and talk about Oney Lorcan's little match, and shout out to Jessica Carr. Congratulations on your 205 Live debut as referee. What are your thoughts on Oney Lorcan and the squash fest and anything we talked about so far as those recaps?
Like I said, let's go back into the recap real quick. So I'm calling this now the Singh brothers, Bali versus Akira Tozawa and Brian Kendrick. Either two things I feel are going to happen. Either Akira Tozawa and Brian Kendrick are going to win, or the Brian Kendrick's going to end up turning and then against a Tozawa, which allows the Singh brothers to win. So that way Akira Tozawa and Brian Kendrick can have their feud, because one of them's going to go. I feel like one of them's going to turn heel at some point, but I believe it'd be more Brian Kendrick. So I'm not sure if Akira Tozawa could pull off the heel turn, but then, like I said, you never know. I said he is very talented. He could do it, but
yeah, and to be fair, the Brian Kendrick, he already was a heel against Akira Tozawa back in 2017. I saw their freaking No DQ Street Fight live. And one thing I've learned from NXT since we're about simply competition and worlds are colliding, let's just talk about this. You know a face can go heel if booked correctly. Biggest example, Io Shirai.
Yes. Okay, so, and then, like I said, let's go into the Lorcan match here. Okay. Lorcan has been built up. This is the only critique I have of this whole show. Lorcan has been built up already. He's already established. We already know he's a badass. We already know he's one of the toughest people on 205 Live 205 Live right now.
Yep.
He really didn't need a squash match to prove his dominance. I don't think. I mean, yes, you can show off his ability, show off his dominance, great, but we already have seen how dominant and how strong he is. So to me, it's like, okay, it was pretty much just the Lorcan showcase, pretty much to me. It wasn't anything special, just pretty much squash match to showcase Lorcan. My opinion, he didn't need another squash match. He's already dominant. I just think right now they may be trying to figure out what's the next step for him, what's the next feud to go with, since he's already taken care of Daivari now, for sure. Hopefully that was the end of that feud, because that was another badass, awesome match. So I think you just had to do a squash match with him just so they can figure out something for him to do next in storyline. So I'm waiting to see what the next chapter for Lorcan's going to be on 205 Live.
Yeah, and the thing is, we haven't seen Daivari since that match, and they did talk about how that match was pure chaos. one of the
Mm-hmm.
most chaotic, destructive, violent matches they've seen on 205 Live. And yeah, Only Lorcan, he literally just did all his greatest hits. He freaking just chopped, uppercut, running lariats, running uppercut, half and half, done. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Nice try, Tony Eisner. I hope that check was worth it. Anyway, moving on from there, we go into my favorite, the leading guy, the reinvented Drew Gulak, basically giving us another epic promo. Damn it, he's got another shirt!
Mm-hmm.
My freaking wish list is already 10 shirts long. I don't get paid from UT until August 20-something. Dadgummit! But I digress. Anyway, and I do plan on getting an Undisputed Era shirt while I'm in Toronto. I'll talk about more of that later. Anyway, Drew Gulak, he basically says, it's funny. Nobody from 205 Live stepped up to challenge me. And I urged them to try and challenge me. They couldn't find somebody from 205 Live. They couldn't find somebody from Raw. They couldn't find somebody from SmackDown. They instead went to NXT. And they went back to my past. This was surprising to me. But they also call him the future of NXT. So apparently, Drew and Isaiah Scott Swerve, it's a teacher-student battle here because apparently Drew trained him to an extent. But Drew says he is rebuilt, evolved, and he admires his courage, but you still have a lot to learn. This promo gave me everything. An idea of the outlook of who Drew Gulak thinks he is, teacher still, but also how he's reinvented himself, but also how he feels like he can take on anybody, but not everybody apparently is willing to take on him. Imagine the possibilities of the matches he could have from people from Raw or SmackDown Live. Keyword imagine, but I digress.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, we went right into the main event. So, Chris, what were your thoughts on the Drew Gulak promo and the Isaiah Scott Swerve's 205 Live debut?
Like I said, Drew Gulak has evolved, adapted, changed, and he is on fire right now. I love his promo skills. They've completely changed. He's dead-ass serious about everything. He pretty much said it. He's like, I couldn't get anybody from 205 Live, Raw, SmackDown. You had to go to NXT. You had to go back to somebody from my past, which I'm going to get into something here after the match is over, maybe a foreshadowing of things to come with him when he said that about going back to his past. But like I said, I love the promo. He has come a long way from beginning of 205 Live to where he's at now. He's come a long way. He's by far got to be one of the top 5 wrestlers in the world right now. Just my opinion. You can get mad all you want. Hey, that's my opinion. But the match itself, oh my God, this match was another fucking incredible match. 205 Live has been on fire with putting out some incredible matches in the last few weeks, but this match was damn. Like I said, I kept thinking, okay, what if they had a match in Lucha Underground when he was Killshot? That's the first thing I was thinking, because that would have been even more crazy. But this match was incredible. Oh, my God, it's so hard. Like I said, I loved it. I was the right person won because Gulak won. I believe he should have won the match. But I would have found it to be very interesting since we still haven't really established a cruiserweight contender yet. And what I would have found it a little bit interesting had Swerve pulled up that upset victory. That I wouldn't have been mad about because that could have built something for SummerSlam. Since we haven't established a new contender yet for Drew Gulak, and I don't think they're going to go down the road right now with Nice and him in an Iron Man match at SummerSlam. I keep pitching. They're not listening to me. They got to listen to me when I pitch this stuff. But I digress on this, as you would say. So, like I said, awesome match.
Yeah, I mean, this was crazy. I mean, this was an incredible show overall. And by the way, Nigel McGuinness was not on this show. He was training people over the NXT UK Performance Center. And the biggest laugh I got out of the whole show, because this show was nothing but 99% serious, Aiden English being worried about Humberto Carrillo's face when he got kicked in. This match, though, what a debut, what a hot crowd for freaking Isaiah Scott Swerve. And maybe that was also helped with the fact that we're in Florida, too, the home of because this crowd kept popping for Swerve throughout, though there was still light chants throughout the match for Drew Gulak that picked up later, and, of course, 205 Live, and this is awesome. That's when you know you book a main event where everyone believes 205 Live matters. What a match it was, but it really came down to one move that defined the story of this match. A freaking right strike. But let me go ahead and just start from the beginning if I can. Jeez. Okay, so right out of the gate, Drew Gulak gets a drop kick in, and then both men are jockeying for control, both men feeling each other out. Then we get our first real spot of one-upsmanship when Isaiah Scott Swerve gets thrown over the top rope, lands on his hands on the apron, and flips himself to land on his feet instantly on the floor. What the hell? Okay, don't throw that in the Royal Rumble, but all right. And then out of nowhere, he goes in and gives me probably the most unique variation I've seen of a moonsault with the ropes, a cartwheel moonsault with the ropes that caught Gulak square into his spine for a nice pinfall. And then we got, of course, the start of the match, the freaking hard right. Lacey Evans learned a thing or two. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
It's true, though, people. That right dropped Gulak and possibly broke his hand. And good brother Chris even said this. He probably was competing the rest of this match with a broken hand because you notice during the rest of the entirety of this match, he did not use the right hand at all, but he always went to it to try and see, is it still functional, is it still working, can I grip with the pain? True to his crack, he fought through pain just like the referee that kept going through that match in an NXT house show with a broken leg. These people, endurance personified. And this match has got ugly after that because Gulak, you gave him a target. He attacks the wrist, and then we get an incredibly hard chop at the announce table, and then like a razor-edge javelin throw into the turnbuckle post into a cover. That was unique. Gulak again. I've never seen Gulak do that either. A lot of uniques pulled out here. And then we get some uppercuts. Gulak attempts to go again for that, I'm just going to call it the razor's edge variation, but he ends up getting a jawbreaker. And then Swerve, to his name, boy, did he swerve a lot. He got the match in his favor with some jumping round kick to the back or side of Gulak's head. I don't know. I need to know what the name of that move was. That was awesome. But Gulak, of course, grabs the right hand and turns him into a variation of the Gulak, only for him to make it to the ropes. And then there was a unique sweep the leg, short kick to Gulak's face that hanged him up on the apron of ropes. He immediately goes to the apron, and what does he do? A vicious double stomp to Gulak on the apron. Brings him back into the ring, only to capitalize, while still gripping the hand the whole time, another double stomp from the top rope. This was the nearest near fall of the match. I thought he freaking won here. No, he did not, though, because what happened? Tilt-a-whirl slam into armbar, but he couldn't extend it because, again, the right hand. Black, unfortunately, you gave him again. He got out of it. Then we got a nice chop fest that really showed these men pushing each other to the limit, but it also showed how much Isaiah Scott Swerve had left because you notice his chops were getting weaker and weaker because he was also starting to use the right hand. Gulak, of course, capitalized with a high angle suplex first, and then, of course, his finisher, now known as Psycho Clash. Gulak 1, 2, 3, but Isaiah Scott Swerve, hell of a first impression.
Yes.
Bam! And that was literally our show because there was nothing else after that because all they mentioned was next week, which we'll get into once we grade the show, is the Drake Maverick Mike Kanellis match. But two incredible matches. NXT 205 Live Collide, simply competition, simply brilliant. Simple as that. There's a reason why we grade 205 Live by episode and not by main event. Because it doesn't matter, it seems, anymore in this day and era. 205 Live gives you an incredible main event. No less than 3.5 stars. This was no different. But again, we grade based on the show. I want to first throw out a shout out again to good brother Chris. Take care, good sir. And congrats on AEW Nation reaching 10,000 people for members. He said this was probably his favorite 205 Live episode of the day. Out freaking performed, and he went live to this episode, his live recent encounter with the lovely Cindy G, and they saw that match and stuff like that. I forget what episode that was, too. I have to look that up. Go look up the live retrospective I did with Cindy G, folks. Get more on that. But he gave this episode 4.5. I honestly don't think I can disagree with him. This episode was near perfect. The only thing I would have changed is why they had the only lurking squash. I mean, that was kind of unnecessary. Chris, what would you grade this week's episode of 205 Live?
4.75. Only because I can't give it perfect just because there was no sense. The only critique I had, there was no sense in the Lorcan squash match. We already know how powerful Lorcan is.
Yes.
Like I said, the opening match was a 5 easily. The main event was a 5+ easily. Like I said, that was a great combination of an opening match and a main event. That was a great combination. If they had just took the Lorcan match out and just did more of the storytelling with Kanellis and Drake Maverick, I would have been fine with that. It would have easily got the second time I would rate it a perfect show and plus, but I couldn't do it just because of that, because there's no sense of having Lorcan have a squash match. We already know how powerful he is, so there's just no sense to me of that. But other than that, damn sure almost a perfect show.
Yeah, simple as that. And the best thing so far of the week up to that point, before I watch, of course, I can't. Okay, but not I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope that they do more of these. I don't know if you want to overkill it, though. I would like these to be like a special, maybe once a month. If this is the closest thing I get to a 205 Live special, give this to me once a month, and I'll be happy. What do you all think? This is your first question of the night. Leave a comment down below. Do you want to see more simply competition theme episodes of 205 Live? Would you consider this the 205 Live specials? Do you want to see more of NXT and 205 Live collide? Leave your comments down below and your proposed matches. We'd love to hear them and we'll react to you. Simple as that. All right. As we always do here, we always try and leave the review under 30 minutes, which leads us right into our simple stances, where we go into anything on Cruiserweight Wrestling, whether it's fantasy booking, analytical analysis, or just, talking about a certain person. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the proposed simple stances suggested by the 205 Live Marriage Facebook community. Thank you all very much. Join the fun, folks. So good brother Chris, he asked the following, and this kind of segues into what we're going to talk about more about the Mike Kanellis storyline too and the match. Is Mike Kanellis being punished? Here's my take on it. When I think about it, Mike Kanellis, he's working on both Raw and 205 Live. On Raw, he is being jobbed out. He's basically Maria's bitch, because Maria is basically really pregnant, but they're using that faux pas to maximum hilarious storyline advantages on a show of mediocrity. And then you have Mike Kanellis, who's being extremely serious, trying to prove something not only to himself, but to Maria, about he wants to be the Cruiserweight champion. And he gives us always a stellar match. Opportunistic heel at times, too. Next week, we get him versus freaking the GM, Drake Maverick. If he wins, he gets a Cruiserweight Championship opportunity. They didn't say necessarily at SummerSlam. They didn't say when. But here's my take on this before I give it over to you, on both. First off, Mike, is he being punished? I'm not going to have a definitive answer until I see the outcome next week. But if you're just simply talking about Raw, absolutely. As far as the match next week, my proposed ending is this. It's Drake Maverick, Mike Kanellis, it's unsanctioned. Maria Kanellis, it will not be far behind. But I see this expanding into a further storyline because we see how much Drake Maverick's wife is now involved in WTV. I see Drake Maverick's wife being the reason why Drake beats Mike Kanellis. So I'm just saying that right now. Drake beats Mike Kanellis next week. Mike Kanellis, sorry, you're going to have to try some other different method. So, Chris, what are your thoughts on, do you see Mike Kanellis being punished, and what's your prediction and outcome for next week's unsanctioned match?
Okay, this is where first I'm gonna play devil's advocate with you on that in a minute, because I'm gonna be this is gonna be one of those rare times I'm against you on this, and I'll explain why. But what Good Brother Chris' question was actually said, do you think Mike Kanellis is being punished because they signed those contracts and Maria got new contracts and Maria got pregnant shortly after? Was the full question.
We've been talking about that for weeks.
Okay, but do I think if there was a reason, if there was something in the contract that stated for female talents that, hey, while you're under contract, you had some kind of clause where they ask you to try not to get pregnant or whatever, something like that, which I don't think that's legal anyways, even if you are an independent contractor, I don't think you can even ask anybody of that, any female superstar of that, to do that because, it's life goes on, stuff happens, it's life. Yeah. So do I think she's being punished? I don't necessarily think so, and because of that, they didn't punish The Miz when Maurice got pregnant. They didn't punish him for that, so that'd be like a double standard. If you're going to punish him because Maria got pregnant, then you should have punished everybody who's gotten pregnant before, like Maurice and different superstars in the past, female superstars in the past who have gotten pregnant and had to leave.
Right, but keep in mind, this was right after they signed their new contract. They didn't tell Vince about this before, and I think it's the fact that they kept that from him before they signed on the dotted line that Vince may be like, damn it, your foreman took all this money from me? Now you're going to get it. And also keep this in mind, too, because I'm reading reports. The whole pregnancy thing, Maria being pregnant, they're also trying to promote this idea of working mothers in WWE. So that's why I'm kind of skeptical on the whole punishment thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the outcome of next week's match, since he's better showcased on 205 Live, will truly tell me if he's being punished or not. Because Vince has no fingerprints at all on 205 Live. He's not even there for the shows. There's been reports that literally no one's there for the shows. It's the freaking superstars and the creative themselves that carry the show and make the brand happen. But continue.
Okay, now I'm going to play devil's advocate with you on this one. I think Mike Kanellis is going to win next week. I think what's going to end up happening is that they're gonna have their match, and Drake Maverick's wife's gonna come out there because she's not liking something that she sees. She thinks Kanellis is gonna hurt her husband, or he's gonna end up getting injured, or something along that lines, or she's gonna try to cause a distraction or something along that lines where Drake Maverick gets distracted and Mike Kanellis hits Love Hurts and he ends up winning the match. And then I think if that happens, then I could see it possibly, even though it's a heel versus heel match, and they have done it before, I could see it because they have not established a new contender for Drew Gulak, and SummerSlam is just right around the corner.
That is true.
So, I mean, it's a possibility that they could do heel versus heel with Mike Kanellis and Drew Gulak. Yeah, it's a possibility. Unless they go back to what I said earlier when Drew Gulak was foreshadowing to keep bringing back people from my past. Hey, you got somebody at NXT that beat you twice before you became champion. You need to remember that. You're talking about bringing back people from your past, because if you keep thinking about people coming back from your past, you better be careful what you wish for, because you might get it.
Oh, my word. Again, if he versus Kushida happens, take my damn money. I want to see that in Toronto, but I'll get more into that later about my Toronto experience. I digress. So, okay, we'll see what happens. And also, I don't see the women being physically involved with each other because, again, Maria's pregnant. Renee, not Renee Young, Renee is not. By the way, where the hell is Renee? Is she still being in the limo with R-Truth? I don't know what the story is with the 24/7 thing. I can't believe she's in on this picture, though, too. I'm like, oh, good Lord. But, again, Drake Maverick, such a good worker, such a strong worker. The guy makes anything work, and somehow he's still bringing me a decent 205 Live. So, you know what? I don't hate him.
Yeah.
Anyway, stop chasing the damn title, though. You don't need it. Anyway, okay, so moving on from there, let's go ahead and see what else the community suggested. Brandon Greatman suggested the following. Favorite Cruiserweight Championship match. Now, I actually reached out to him, and he said any promotion. Now, that's incredibly difficult for me. And again, championship match, not just Cruiserweight match. Again, Eddie Guerrero versus Mysterio got me into Cruiserweights back at WCW. Now, it's been a while since I've seen that match, so my memory may be a little hazy as far as that was for a championship. And then you really spring forward to 205 Live. That has reinvigorated the idea of Cruiserweight Championship Wrestling in WWE. And you've had the championship matches between the likes of Buddy Murphy and Cedric Alexander, not only on 205 Live, but even that Southern Showdown match itself, which was probably my favorite match of the entire show. Not Southern Showdown, excuse me. Super Showdown in Australia. That was probably my favorite match of the whole show, and that only went 10 minutes. And then you've had championship match encounters. And, I mean, we had Stomping Grounds recently, but if you're going over the world, the most recent encounter I saw that I truly loved was Will Ospreay versus Robbie Eagles at Southern Showdown, there it is, in Melbourne, Australia. So if I have to be on the bubble right now and pick a favorite, I am going to go current, and I am going to stick to 205 Live because he finally ascended, and I thought it was really well received. I'm going to go right now with Drew Gulak versus Tony Nese versus Akira Tozawa, Stomping Grounds, where he finally achieved becoming Cruiserweight Champion. Chris, what about you? Favorite Cruiserweight Championship match?
Oh, it is Cruiserweight Championship matches? I thought it was any Cruiserweight match.
No. Championship match.
Okay, Lord. Well, I'm just going to answer this real quick because I had it under favorite Cruiserweight match. Favorite Cruiserweight match is ECW Dean Malenko versus Eddie Guerrero Fail World match. 2 out of 3 falls match is my favorite Cruiserweight match of all time because it ended up being Dean Malenko took the first fall, Guerrero took the second, and they ended up drawing on the third and final fall as their farewell match before they went to WCW. So check that match out because that's an awesome match. If you watch it, it's about good 30-something minutes, but it's an awesome match. Cruiserweight title match. Oh, God. Favorite Cruiserweight title match of all time. God. Dean Malenko versus Ultimate Dragon Clash of the Champions when Dean Malenko won the Cruiserweight title for the 3rd time.
All right. Again, you are more WCW.
That's my fondest memory. It's one of my favorite cruiserweight matches. I could always go with the norm and say Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio, Halloween Havoc for the cruiserweight title, because that was an awesome match. But my personal pick will be Dean Malenko challenging the Ultimate Dragon for the cruiserweight title, Clash of Champions, because he had just lost that title to him at Starrcade '96 when the Ultimate Dragon had Mr. 9 belts, not 2, 9. Somebody else get 9 belts in a row and say they're Mr. 9 belts or Mrs. 9 belts, and then come back and talk to me. That Ultimate Dragon was one of the greatest of all times. He had 9 belts at one time.
As simple as that. I mean, Austin Aries was the belt collector at one point. He didn't even have 9 belts. I think he had like 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you, Brandon. All right, let's go ahead into one more.
Thanks for the question, Brandon.
Let's go ahead and go into one more simple stance provided by our 205 Matters community. Our own No DQ General, Jerry Slaughter. Shout out to you, good sir.
Yep.
He asked the following. What is the riskiest move performed in the 205 Live brand? Now, here's my thoughts on this, because as you know, Cruiserweight Wrestling is not just, mat-based game and flips. It is high aerial, high-risk offense. If there's one move I've seen that could be the detriment to a match and a superstar, it's gotta be Akira Tozawa's top rope senton bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Whether he hits knees or he hits the mat flat, which is the worst possible scenario, he's basically done after that. So you literally are risking everything on this move. You either win or you lose. Crash and burn. So that's my pick. So, Chris, what's your pick for the riskiest move performed under the 205 Live brand?
You took my answer. I have to agree with you. Akira Tozawa's finish is risky, but since we both agree on the same finish, I'll give you 2 finishes that from WCW that were scary as all hell. Gregory Helms' Vertebreaker, which I know Jerry put on the Armbar group,
I saw that.
talking about it. But yes, that was very dangerous and made me always cringe watching that. And actually, somebody that may not remember too much, Michael Modest's finishing move, because that move scared me, because you really couldn't see what was going on and protect your neck and stuff like that. If he did the move wrong, sort of like Gregory Helms' Vertebreaker, you're going to end up breaking your neck.
Well, I mean, people have even risked AJ Styles' move, but he's not cruiserweight. AJ Styles' move should be banned because if you fall wrong on the freaking Styles Flash, your neck could be broken too. A lot of these moves risk people's necks and backs. That's what it comes down to. I freaking recently watched the G1 between Kota and Will Ospreay, and I thought Kota destroyed Will Ospreay's neck. You saw the freaking Stinger and how he was during the rest of that match. Good Lord Almighty. These people are crazy. But I digress. Thank you, Jerry.
They are.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about our own type of simple stances. What do you want to talk about tonight, Chris? What's on your mind?
Okay. Let's do a little fantasy book in here.
All right.
I'm still stuck on this War Games. I've been watching all these War Game matches. So, if you had a book of War Games between 8 of 205 Live greatest, past and present, who would be on what team, and who would you book in it?
Damn. All right, let me think about this, because, again, part of my list is going back from the very beginning, so I know all the greats that have left the brand and been part of it. So,
from the past, you can use anybody from the past up to the present. They can only have been on 205 Live.
You know which one I'm not going to use, so we'll leave that one out. Okay, just to go off the top of my head real quick, because the more I think about this, the more I'm going to hurt myself. First team, Cedric Alexander, Rich Swann, Mustafa Ali, and Humberto Carrillo versus, oh boy, Tony Nese, the Brian Kendrick. Let's see what I can do in TNA. Let's see, the Brian Kendrick, Drew Gulak, the Austin Aries, and Neville. So there's my 4.
You made that seem so easy after you thought about it in just a minute.
Well, okay. That
all right, mine would be Gulak as team captain for the heels, and he's going to take Neville with him. He's going to take Austin Aries as a heel, because I like Austin Aries' heel work better than I do as a babyface. And then the 4th one, huh?
Something like that, but continue.
And then the 4th one, I would take Daivari. I'll put him in there too, just because of what his performance has been as of late and how aggressive he's been. I definitely would want him as my fourth man in War Games match.
Imagine doing a Persian splash over the top of the cage now, like NXT don't have a roof. Okay,
Yep,
what about your
exactly.
face team?
Oh, Tony Nese, Akira Tozawa, Lorcan, because you got to have Lorcan in there, because you got to have somebody to counter the aggressive. You got to have somebody that's a badass in there for the face team. So you got to have somebody with power. So you got to put Lorcan in there definitely. Oh, my fourth one. That's where I get struggled with trying to figure out a fourth one. You know what? If he was on, since he appeared on 205 Live, I can use him. Who we just saw in the main event tonight, Swerve.
Oh,
Shot, a.k.a. There you go. There's your 4-on-4 War Games match for 205 Live if you fancy booked a War Games match for them.
All right, well, now let's go to the people because, people, you're the authority. Let us know down below which War Games match sounds like the better match for y'all to watch. Let us know in the comments down below. And also, feel free to comment on any of the simple stance we talked about so far, and we'll continue. Because, again, your opinions matter. This is all about the community and talking about 205 Life Matters. Simple as that. All right, great simple stance. All right. Let's go ahead and talk. Okay, so I gotta do this. Let's go ahead and get serious for a moment here. There have been rumors about a certain gentleman and his career direction. Now, we already know WWE looks at NXT as developmental. We don't know how they look at 205 Live. It's almost like the Red Stepchild. They don't look at it at all. Yes, the brand that survives through a world of mediocrity, and one of the only reasons I enjoy WWE pay-per-views. Yes, I know, people. Sorry. Not sorry. Daniel Bryan. They are saying the proposed idea for Daniel Bryan is to go to 205 Live. Now, here are my thoughts on this. Because you do not let 205 Live reach its full potential and break past the glass ceiling, you're literally almost demoting Daniel Bryan to a single brand, and you feel that just on name alone, he can enhance it. I like that thought, but you gotta respect the cruiserweights. There is no doubt in my mind, I would freaking love to see on the main card at SummerSlam, Drew Gulak versus the new Daniel Bryan for the cruiserweight title. If that's the idea, and a one-off only that they are doing, sign me up. I will be seeing that live. I want to see that live. I will be 1,000,000% invested. Because here's the thing. I don't know what the direction Daniel Bryan's career is going in anymore. Let's think about this. He went from WrestleMania WWE champion. He got stomped to death in the head. We feared he got a concussion, which apparently he did. He was out for action for a while. Then he became tag team champions for a little while with Rowan. And then he lost those titles. He's been with Rowan still as a running mate. Hasn't said a word yet. Hasn't been in a match since. Not even booked for SummerSlam. So I'll close with this idea. Daniel Bryan working with 205 Live? Absolutely. Permanently on 205 Live? If you're not going to elevate the cruiserweights of the brand, hell no. Put him back as a general manager if you're going to hold this against Drake Maverick. That's all I have to say about that. Chris, your thoughts on Daniel Bryan's involvement in the 205 Live brand and the idea of the new Daniel Bryan versus Drew Gulak for the cruiserweight title?
Okay, here's my theory on it, because this is something I was going to ask, but it makes a good sense to segue to it real quick. So we're talking about AEW now, and we're talking about them being on Wednesdays, October 2nd. They've been rumors about NXT competing with them. They also have had the rumors about having a 2 hours where NXT and 205 Live are going to compete for the shows, are going to compete with AEW.
Yeah.
So if that's the theory and that's correct, then you want to you were thinking, okay, they may be thinking, man, we're not sure about these 205 Live because we already know how the main roster feels about 205 Live and their confidence and the stuff. But however, if you're thinking logically, if you're thinking, okay, well, if we put a big name star on there, if we're doing this idea and we put a big name star, who else could we put? Realistically, you could put Daniel Bryan on there. If that's your reason you're doing it and that reason only, I don't like it because of the fact you've already elevate your young stars that you have to let them go do it on their own without having to bring a big name in to try to boost ratings or do whatever you want. If that's the reason you're doing it, then don't do it. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
here's
agree
the
with that.
thing. You just broke into another segue because I was going to add this as another simple stance, or basically a side stance, because you're right. The biggest thing right now with WWE, besides the fact they're apparently really going down in numbers on viewerships and subscribers, go figure,
Mm,
is AEW is officially now elite competition with TV broadcasting. Again, AEW doesn't want to go against WWE. People, we are elite. We're not no DQ elite, but we are AEW. We're Team DQ. We watch AEW. We learn, research, look at AEW, and we respect and support independent wrestling. So if you want us to start an AEW view, let us know in the comments below. We'll be happy to. Because I'm only going to briefly talk about it because this is 205 Live Matters. If the idea is 205 Live and NXT becoming merged into a 2-hour mega buster on FS1 to compete against AEW, I'm kind of okay with that, but don't bring in Daniel Bryan just because of name value, okay? And you're just going to use him as like a one-off, all right? Again, I feel like Daniel Bryan is better off going back to being a GM role, especially since we don't know what's going to be the outcome of this Drake Maverick, Mike Kanellis stance. I mean, think about this. NXT, NXT UK, they are constantly working with each other. Johnny Stamos and Regal are, and spoiler if you haven't seen, we freaking got Pete Dunne now in NXT.
yeah.
The longest reigning NXT UK champion in the modern day WWE champion, the modern era, is now on the freaking NXT brand. And we already know how much NXT is looked at by wrestling fans. You heard how loud the NXT chants were tonight. You heard how loud the chants were for Isaiah Scott because Florida and people more know NXT than 205 Live. So if the idea here is to merge 205 Live and NXT, then yes, I agree. Go with it. Now, as far as how it should be broadcast, because I know you all are going to do it live, bring it to Full Sail finally, because this has been the stance since episode 1 of 205 Live Matters. Bring in 205 Live to Full Sail. Whether you merge them in NXT or you do NXT and 205 Live back to back. Because AEW is going to be more sports oriented, telling you more about the athletes, how they got injured, and look at wins and losses. Are you literally trying to become more than sports entertainment? Good luck. I want to see it happen. So again, there are my thoughts on Daniel Bryan involvement in 205 Live and the idea of 205 Live collide with 205 Live and NXT. All I know is this. October is going to be extremely interesting, and Raw and SmackDown Live will not be part of it for me in full.
Now, if you're taking Daniel Bryan, now getting back, so that's since I went to that segue so I can finish answering the full question. So now, if you're taking Daniel Bryan, you're actually going to move him on 205 Live just to help elevate some of these stars. Okay, if there's something wrong with Daniel Bryan where he's thinking about he might have to retire again, because like I said, he got blessed, and I will say it, he got blessed. He was out for over 2 years, and everything he went through to get himself back in the ring was probably one of the more incredible stories. That was a miracle to no end that he was able to come back.
Story on it too.
Yes.
One of the most viewed ever.
Yes, and for him to come back. Now, if he's thinking about winding down his career and wanting to give back and do something like that and to elevate, okay, I've suggested that with Rey Mysterio. Okay, Daniel Bryan, like I said, he can get right to about the right way he needs to be at. And if you're going to do it just to put over some of the young talent and give them give them a storyline and do something interesting like that, I'm all for it. But if you're going to be there for like 2 or 3 or 4 years just to be there, no, you can do other things to help elevate the main roster and the other talent. But if you're going there strictly for a few-month program with a few people to elevate, like what Chris Jericho was doing in New Japan, he was going there to help do stuff and elevate Omega and stuff like that, for example. Exactly. If you're going to do something like that kind of role like Jericho did when he went to New Japan, by all means, I will agree with that 100% because that would be very helpful. Because if you're not going to put Rey Mysterio, who I've suggested to go on there and finish career at 205 Live, Daniel Bryan would be a great pick as well because he's had great matches in ROH. He was a little bit smaller than too, in my opinion. He was a pure champion, ROH world champion as Bryan Danielson. So, I mean, he can pull it off. So, if that's the case, I'm for it. But if you're only doing it trying to get star power because you're wanting to go to war with AEW and use NXT and 205 Live to go to war with them because you don't want to go to war with them with your main shows because you know what's going to happen if you do, then don't do it. It's not worth it. That's my take on it.
Yeah, absolutely. The bottom line is this. WWE needs to find identity for Raw, SmackDown Live, and that's all I'll ever say about those two shows as far as 205 Live Matters, and find a better outlook for the 205 Live brand, because clearly when you use 205 Live with NXT, it's something more beautiful than 205 Live alone, and the audience reaction and appeal spoke for it. And I bet you if you do it again in a different city, you'll get the same outlook, because people know NXT, and if they see NXT working with 205 Live, you're building something.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that was a strong stance. I will close with this on that stance. Daniel Bryan, if he was to compete against a 205 Live superstar, who you want to see him compete against first?
Gulak.
There we go. Period. Simple as that. Again, folks, we'd love to hear your thoughts on everything we said so far tonight. Please let us know. Provide a comment down below. Or join the fun on hashtag 205 Match Facebook group. We'll be happy to add you. All right. So, that was quite a stance. You and I basically partnered on that. That's what you call a tag team right there. That's tag team action.
we killed two birds with one stone since you segued to that question. We killed two birds, one stone.
Yeah, basically. I mean, what else can you say after that? All right. So let's go ahead and close, of course, on our light note of respect. As you all know who have been watching, we are both building our own list of the top 25 cruiserweight matches in the 205 Live brand. So, last week, we both gave our stance on number 24. This week, we'll give our stance now on our number 23. Chris, why don't you go first? What is number 23 on your list of the top 25 matches you've seen from 205 Live?
Cedric Alexander versus Roderick Strong.
Nice.
Before they went to WrestleMania, that's my number 23 match. They had an incredible match, and I'm a big fan too of watching matches that don't always have to end with their finish. I always like those surprise finishes. Where in that match to me was an intense match, and I had to double check and look because I went and brain dead on it. I'm glad I double checked and looked. So I was going to say he was part of Undisputed Era during that match, and he wasn't. He didn't become part of Undisputed Era until a few weeks later.
Exactly.
So I was about to say he was part of Undisputed Era, and he wasn't yet, because at that time they were building that triple threat tag team match with him teaming with Pete Dunne. So I had to double check my own self where I got criticized by the NXT.
Yeah, because I would have known over
New Orleans.
New Orleans is when Roderick Strong joined the Undisputed Era after turning on his partner Pete Dunne. And look at how history has gone full circle now. They're not done with each other, and a title is involved with another person. But again, we'll save that for our predictions for NXT TakeOver Toronto 2. That's going to be a hell of a good time. I can't wait to do those. Anyway.
Yeah, Cedric Alexander had a great match in that, and like I said, and that was the first real good example of how you take NXT and 205 Live and put them together for a match, because that was for... You're going to correct me if I'm wrong. So I was looking and I think they had it labeled wrong. So I think it was a semifinal match they had, if I remember right.
You are correct, because Roderick...
semifinals. I kept wanting to say it was the finals. I said, no, it wasn't.
No. Roderick Strong didn't make it to the finals.
It was semifinals. But like I said, it was an incredible match. And that's definitely why I put it number 23 on my list. I know. And Roderick Strong, like I said, he would be a great addition to 205 Live, but I love what he's doing with Undisputed Era, so I can't complain right now.
Well, like I said, Undisputed Era, they're my guys. They're the lead of NXT for me, and they're my favorite gear also. And one of these days I'll have all my Undisputed gear finally and put it up in the background, but I digress. That's why I got the Adam Cole Undisputed Era autograph you see over there in the corner. But anyway, yeah, I would love to see Undisputed Era actually involved in 205 Live, because they're all under 205. Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong especially. A mat-based match with Kyle O'Reilly and Drew Gulak, and a strong match between, no pun intended, Roderick Strong and Oney Lorcan or Roderick Strong and Tony Nese, absolutely. Again, if this is going to be the length for a 205 Live special, the maximum peak they're going to do this for. If you're going to do these simply competition specials, maybe once a month, I'm fine with that. Because this really does help me, I believe, in my stance of why 205 Live matters, because Cruiserweights versus NXT is real competition. I remember a time when two other shows were actually about real competition, and not one just being the top one versus the other just being the stepping B thing. But, you know, that was a long time ago. That was before a pay-per-view, before called Bragging Rights, and when Survivor Series actually had stances and matters, and when competition was not just with the superstars, but the freaking ring announcers, the freaking GMs, the freaking commentary. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I saying that out loud? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Is that one of those, like, somewhere over the rainbow where we're thinking about the past, about WWE when they were back in their glory days?
when
Yeah.
actual Attitude Era was a thing, and then post Attitude Era for a short stance was actually cool. I'm just saying. Anyway,
Mm.
on. So good pick. So as you all know, I'm literally going kind of in chronological order when I think about how I did my list. Because again, this is the first time I ever did a top list for anything. So my number 23 is actually when 205 Live started going to the AA level. I picked the Fatal Five-Way Elimination Match from
Mm.
2017 that determined the number one contender to the Cruiserweight Champion at that time, Neville, to see who would face him at WrestleMania. And the way that match got treated and respected was bullshit. But I digress. It was the year of WrestleMania 33, where the only thing of relevance apparently was John Cena and Nikki Bella getting engaged. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I thought this match was very stellar for a number of reasons. First off, participants: B. Brian Kendrick, T.J. Perkins, Tony Nese, Austin Aries, and Akira Tozawa. This was during the time with B. Brian Kendrick and Akira Tozawa. They were in a feud amongst themselves about B. Brian Kendrick feeling disrespected that Akira Tozawa didn't want to be his protege. So I'm going to teach you lessons by force, which of course led to the match I got to see live later on that year, but I digress. And TJP, former Cruiserweight Champion, B. Brian Kendrick, former Cruiserweight Champion. Tony Nese was the underdog here, trying to prove something really to himself. He wasn't necessarily, though, the most well-put guy in this match because I think he got eliminated first, followed by Akira, then TJP, and then it came down to D. Brian Kendrick and Austin Aries. But there were some fun spots in this match, too. From the freaking Tower of Doom spot with D. Brian Kendrick, Austin Aries, and TJP that turned into a sliced bread, cross-body combination, collar slam. And then also had Nese and Aries outside the ring, where Nese basically pulled a Noam Dar no DQ match spot where he had exposed knee, running knee strike into Austin Aries for the timekeeper area. Good Lord, he went so damn fast. And then we had some unique tag team chemistry where we had a double cover on TJP by Austin Aries and D. Brian Kendrick. It came down to those two who literally duked it out with each other. D. Brian Kendrick basically looking the strongest, saying he was going to win. I'm going to WrestleMania. He had him in sliced bread. He had him in the captain's hook. But Austin Aries, he kept fighting. No rope breaks, but he found a way to elevate himself to his feet, get out of the freaking submission hold, and deliver a rolling elbow strike for the win. An incredible, stellar match that was near 20 minutes. Oh, shut up, Alexa. Doggone my stupid device. I didn't even say Alexa. I just did. Anyway, so that's my match. So, ladies and gentlemen, please let us know what you thought about everything you heard tonight on the Simple Stances and our match picks. And if you have a proposed match pick, or if you want to pick a favorite out of one or two, please do. But with that, I think we're literally done tonight with this week's episode of 205 Live. So thank you, everybody, of course, for tuning in and watching. Let's go ahead and do our plugs, as we always do. Chris, always an extreme pleasure, sir. I am fully awake now. I'm ready for the G1 in a few hours, which I'll get to later. Anything you want to plug, and where can people find you?
Well, like I said, hopefully my real Facebook will be back up here in a day or so, I'll be out of Facebook jail. But I just want to take a moment to thank a couple people that have been supporting the show and everything. I want to take a few minutes to say thank you to my friend Jamie Cox, who's supporting the show, with her dog Rainey, who loves watching the show. And thank you to my roommates, my friends Wayne and Belinda. I appreciate y'all watching the show and being supportive since day one. I appreciate it. And I appreciate everybody who's wanted to have been invited and who wanted to join the 205 Live Matters Facebook group. I said it's been a pleasure. And like I said, I've been doing the weekly shows once a week. I just started the official episode today where I review a cruiserweight match, and I'm going to be doing more of those at least once a week, trying to review different matches, and I will do more of Impact Wrestling and ROH, and then I'm going to be doing quite a different variety of matches. I just wanted the one I did today, I wanted to culminate from what I did last week with the feud with Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero during that time period, so that was one I culminated with today. But I hope y'all enjoy. If you have any comments or suggestions for matches, because next week I'll be reviewing the Great American Bash from 2007, that six-man challenge for the Cruiserweight title. That was suggested. So since it was suggested, I'm going to do a watch along and give my thoughts on it.
And one of these days, you and I need to go on live on one of those, because I would love to do that with you. But, of course, working full-time and causing the rise, and I can only do so much. But thank you again for what you've done to evolve this group. And anything else? That's it? All
And
right.
like I said, just support Aftermatch Wrestling. Stefan and Jerry do a great job with What's NXT and NXT Party. Support Colin Andrews with the chopping block. Support James and Owen, like I said, do a great job. Support Cindy G and Good Brother Chris with the AEW Nation, and Cindy G, the queen of, I call her the queen of the NXT team. That's sorry. She can be the Duchess of No DQ. She can be the queen of the NXT, and we're
just
good
call her
with
the
that.
indie queen because we know where her heart belongs.
Yeah,
Independent.
exactly. And Good Brother Chris, hope y'all got back on here soon with us again one day, along with Colin and Owen. Like I said, we've had a few guests here and James, so hopefully y'all get to join us again one day on the show, and hopefully we get Jerry and Stefan on here, and we can actually play role reversals and have them on here one day.
That would be interesting. We run the show from their TV, and they just listen to us like they're watching a show. Oh, boy, what a day that will be. Well, thank you again so much, Chris. I truly, truly appreciate you and all the supporters that you have around you, not only for you, but also for this stance. Thank you all so much. But, folks, if you want to know more about me, I'll start with this, as always. Know this, and there's a shirt that says it now, too. Thanks, Aaron. I'm just a simple man and a lifelong fan of wrestling. So if you want to follow me and talk anything wrestling, WWE, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact, Ring of Honor, NWA, Independent Wrestling, Support Independent Wrestling folks, and particularly 205 Live, look me up on the following: Twitter, nodq.com/Noah, takes you to my Twitter page, or at nfosternext16 for those that hate URLs. Or, like he said, join what I've created and love to be growing. It's my hashtag 205 Live Match Facebook group. Chris is an admin. I'm an admin. The lovely Cindy G is an admin. Let us know what you enjoy about Cruiserweight Wrestling, what thoughts you have on it, 205 Live or beyond, and we'll be happy to add you. I was actually going to add a discussion next week about how a junior heavyweight and a heavyweight have clashed in each other and what has it done for both men, starting with, of course, Austin Aries and Bobby Roode, and how the X division was redefined. So stay tuned for that 205 Match Facebook group, along with more stuff. Because I always give a weekly announcement. I give a shout out to new members. I always give a simple discussion idea. I always give a couple of matches idea. And I always encourage community and participation and creation of discussions. And again, I would love to have anybody that's part of the group on this forum too. You don't even have to be on video. We just love to hear your input via audio. This is just a fun, simple platform to be yourself and give your stance on Cruiserweight Wrestling. So join the fun in hashtag 205 on the Facebook group, if nothing else. Or follow my simple YouTube channel here, where you'll get more of this every week, along with predictions, simple takes, reviews, and indie views on all things wrestling outside the main roster of WWE, and mostly WWE stuff in general. Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, AEW. Yeah, we're going to be doing a lot more AEW, folks. Get ready. You're going to hear real AEW stuff very soon. So stay tuned for more of that. Follow my simple YouTube channel here at youtube.com/user/Noah Foster210. Where you'll find, of course, at the heart of it, my weekly series, hashtag 205 Matters. But again, simple takes, reviews, interviews, all that good stuff before. And as I always say, support independent wrestling. And if you haven't figured it out by now, support No DQ. They're the reason I'm in YouTube. I just decided to do it, and here it is, nearly a year later. Unbelievably. So go buy a shirt, nodq.com/shirts. For those that have been asking for it, yes, I do have a shirt now that celebrates my love of wrestling and Mountain Dew. Anyway, so go buy that shirt or buy any shirt you want at nodq.com/shirts. Follow our playlist on Spotify, hashtag NoDQ. Over 5,100 songs now. We know way too much music. Good Lord Almighty.
Yes.
Go follow NoDQ on all your social media platforms. Go mess around on the official website with the comment section and everything, because your opinions matter. React to something. Polls, memes, columns, recaps, reviews, GIFs, sexy female pics. You name it, it's there. It's wrestling, primarily WWE, with slowly invasion of independent wrestling, led by AEW Nation members, me, Chris, Cindy, Good Brother Chris, and Chris Cass. And stay tuned, because we'll be doing predictions for AEW All Out. It's going to be a hell of a video. We'll actually be doing multiple predictions videos that week, because we have New Japan Pro Wrestling Royal Quest, and of course NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff. But before that, stay tuned, of course, for NoDQ.com, where you'll find predictions for NXT TakeOver Toronto 2 and WWE SummerSlam. And I will also be seeing both those events live, as well as seeing Ring of Honor Summer Supercard live. And I'll do predictions on that on my simple YouTube channel. And Chris, if you want to join me, I'll keep you posted on that date. It will be before.
All right.
I leave for Toronto, I believe, Thursday, August the 8th, and we'll be in Canada until freaking Monday night, August the 12th. Should be a hell of a time. If you haven't already, check out the NotiQ meetup, RSVP. We'd love to meet you there. We'd love to talk to you. So I think that's about everything off the top of my head. And like you said, support all our friends. While worlds collide tonight on 205 Live, the worlds always collide in wrestling on YouTube and Facebook in a friendly manner. Support the NXT, support What's NXT team, support NXT UK Tea Party, support Jeff Meacham Talk Wrestling, support Continental Chopping Block, support Owen Finch and James Hubert on WYW, The Wrestling Rundown, and all things we talk about and do wrestling, YouTube and beyond. And as always, as I like to close, support your wrestling house big and small, and let's keep growing this incredible, diverse, unique, vast, ever-expanding wrestling community together for the better. Simple as that. With that, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening. Like, share, subscribe, comment, tell your friends. Leave us your predictions on everything we said for next week. Leave us your thoughts. Leave us your stances on anything we discuss. Leave us what you want us to discuss in the comment section down below. Hit that bell to know when the next video is going to go up. Hit that subscribe button to see the next time I'll be talking on camera or off camera. It will actually be tomorrow, possibly. I think I'm definitely going to make sure it's a possibility. With you, of course, Chris, on Simple Take on G1 Climax Action Day 9 and our predictions on G1 Climax Day 10. As me, Chris, and the rest of Team ADQ are in a predictions battle of the G1 Climax. Boy, do I suck. So with that, I think I am done here. So thank you so much for tuning in and listening. Enjoy live. Enjoy wrestling. Take care of your families. Always treasure every day. Tomorrow's never guaranteed. Follow AEW Nation as well. I almost forgot to say that. Shout out to you, good brother Chris. And until the next video, whether on my channel or here at NotiQ.com, I hope everybody beyond the world of wrestling and within the world of wrestling, have a good night.
Have a good night, y'all.
And remember, 205 Live matters.
Always.
Simple as that. Bye, everybody.
Have a good night.